Hello there, WrestleManiacs. Happy April Fool's Day. It's your host, Sexy Thor, coming to you for a very late edition of your Weekly Thunder. Sorry about that. Things will be explained in this episode because, well, this weekend I've literally had no time to plan this out, type this up, script it up, give you all the lowdown with what's happening with wrestling and comic books and what have you. So I guess this will just be part me talking at you, part WrestleMania preview, because really that's all that really matters this week, honestly. And part stuff that's coming up with Thunder Talk, because the reason why I didn't get any time to plan to script out for this Weekly Thunder like I do for most Weekly Thunders over the past week is because I was hella busy doing other recording. Last Tuesday, or was it Wednesday? I don't know. Sometime last week during the weekdays, me and Lightning Lad recorded a commentary track for The Dirt on Netflix. I'm pretty sure I've already told you guys that was coming soon, but if not, well, you're welcome. Here's another warning. And also, we did some more recording with Beth and Kaviko, talking about some Captain Marvel stuff, covering some of the controversy and talking about it in our own special way. And then Sunday I was over for the Nerd Bliss podcast. We had ourselves a nice time with Chris and Tina and Eric, and of course Lightning Lad and myself. And overall, a very good weekend, despite having like 2 consecutive stomach aches before I fell asleep both Saturday and Sunday night. But that has nothing to do with podcasting. That just has everything to do with me filling my body with shit. And by shit I mean, good food and drink like Coronas and wings and pizza, hamburgers, whiskey. I'm not talking about like all that in one night. I'm talking about cumulative over both of those given nights. And yeah, all wonderful delicacies, but you know what? There's just a degree to where it shouldn't mix. My mother was like, "You're almost 30. I'm just like, fuck, you're right. Because even though there's now no DashCon 1 and DashCon 2, there is only DashCon. And boy, when I stepped back into DashCon today for my first shift in over 3 months, just the sights and the smells and all that, it really started to bring back that edge I was losing. An edge just like Becky Lynch, because now her triple threat with Charlotte and Ronda is now officially the main event, the first time women have main evented WrestleMania. And on tonight's Raw, Stephanie McMahon came out and said that whoever wins, it's a winner take all, because also last Tuesday, Charlotte Flair won the SmackDown Women's Championship from Asuka. So now you have the Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey, the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, and the man Becky Lynch. And either one of them could walk out as both Raw Women's Champion and SmackDown Women's Champion. And hopefully still Seth Rollins is going to be the Beast Slayer and the new Universal Heavyweight Champion. And on the other side of that particular title, Vince McMahon put Kofi Kingston's New Day teammates Xavier Woods and Big E through their own tag team gauntlet match, which they of course won. And now Kofi Kingston is finally going to WrestleMania. But we still have the SmackDown Go Home show before Mania this Sunday. So let's see where that takes us. I'll believe it when I'm sitting I don't know, in my room at Dave and Buster's, sitting somewhere watching WrestleMania, and I hear, "It's a new day, yes it is," and Kofi comes out for the WWE Championship. At this point, that's all I can do to just save my heart from being broken by Vince McMahon again. But anyhow, so back to goings on this weekend. There's a TakeOver New York, the NXT pay-per-view, which I could have sworn was Saturday, and I knew the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is this Saturday, but I just figured TakeOver was going to be right after that. But no, apparently TakeOver is Friday night. So that's going to be a wonderful ass day for me, going from DashCon to watching Shazam, because I have to, because I close Thursday night, so I'm probably not going to be seeing Shazam Thursday night. But I will see it, though, and I'll give you the word for next week's Weekly Thunder, which will be much better planned at this point. And then, yeah, I guess I'm going home and I'm watching TakeOver from the beginning, so great times ahead. And we still have Vince and Shane going to beat the shit out of each other. We have Triple H and Batista kicking the shit out of each other, because Batista's so angry it's like he hasn't gotten the memo yet that James Gunn has been rehired, which we also covered with Beth and Kavika on this past Saturday's recording of Thunder Talk. Ooh, maybe I should actually run down with you what's actually happening in TakeOver if I'm going to mention how it's going to be part of my Super Awesome Friday coming up. Well, of course, there's the NXT Women's Championship, which is going to be a fatal four-way between Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, and Bianca Belair. There's the NXT Championship, which is going to be Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole. There's the North American Championship, which is going to be Matt Riddle versus Velveteen Dream. And then there's the NXT Tag Team Championship, which is going to be the War Raiders versus the Dusty Rhodes Classic winners, the Forgotten Sons. I'm just kidding. It was Aleister Black and Ricochet, of course. Of course. Even though they still had a Raw Tag Team Championship opportunity tonight on Raw. Very closely beating the Revival, but the Revival cheated, and one of them was hiding underneath the ring, and he held on to Ricochet's leg a little longer, so Ricochet ended up being counted out, and the Revival retained their Raw Tag Team Championships. But I guess it's just that sort of injustice that'll hype people to support Aleister Black and Ricochet, and hopefully they take home that particular gold Friday night. Oh, wrestling drama. Oh, hey, and lots of Walking Dead news, because on top of that, that penultimate episode where a whole lot of people's heads ended up on pikes, I shit you not, the final episode of The Walking Dead, the final season from the long-deceased Telltale Games, I guess would be appropriate to say. I like to think I got a pretty sweet ending, so that's awesome. And I think outside of the two grudge matches for WrestleMania, yes, I'm jumping over to WrestleMania once again, the grudge matches of AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, that's getting fun. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin in Kurt's retirement match. And Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, which should be amazing. There's been zilch for like warm-up matches. It's just Drew McIntyre jumping Roman Reigns at every turn and hitting him with low blows and telling him he should have declined his match demand and all that stuff. And Braun Strowman feuding with Michael Che and Colin Jost, who are going to be the guest correspondents from SNL, but who cares about that when Alexa Bliss is the host of WrestleMania? And I feel like that just about covers it now, so with that said, I'll just leave you with one final thought, because, I've been known for just about all my life, but it was brought to my attention recently about how I'm rigid about my plans a lot. And I explained it in that moment, and I'll explain it in further detail here. But it's like my being rigid, because at this point in my life, I've accrued a bit more positive self-esteem for myself, and I know I'm a pretty intelligent person, so if I make a plan for myself, um, I usually like to think that's the route that I should carry out, and I know people suggest other routes for me to go, either for my benefit or because they think it's for my benefit, because they think it would work for me, but really it just works for them in theory. Who knows? I can't comment on other people's reasoning for what they do, but I can comment that the reasoning for what I do and why I usually tend to stick to what I do is because I evaluate all the options and I'm just like, this is the best course for me. I've made up my mind, which, yeah, um, making your own decisions and sticking to them, that's kind of a rare thing in this world, at least as far as, positive decisions going. But that's how the great halftime adjustment of 2018 happened. I was a little smarter about things, and I purposely restricted myself and told myself this is how it had to be. And now, granted, I'm always up to adjusting said plans if I evaluate it and say it's a-okay, that this adjustment will actually make it better. But usually, if other routes just don't seem to be as effective or efficient or happier or whatever the objective is for me, then, I'll stick to what I planned for myself. Because I'm Sexy Thor, and Sexy Thor is here to help improve Adam Weston's life. With everything between this podcast and wrestling and all that stuff, I have my ways, which people find maybe a little strange or surprising or whatever, and you know what? That's their deal. And, I'm just preaching this not to say that you should follow my method, but if you think my method works for you, or if you're already doing my method and, this just helps affirm it, not that I think you need it, but it's nice to have some affirmation. But yeah, somebody that's truly confident in themselves and their beliefs doesn't really give a fuck about affirmation, but it's nice to have it time and again. External affirmation, not internal affirmation, obviously, but you knew that. So I'll just leave you with that of, Stick to Your Guns, which is a Motley Crue song from Too Fast for Love, an album beloved by myself and Lightning Lad. And stick to your guns, whatever that is. If it's going with the flow and letting external things just, go with it, that's fine. If you're just like, this is my plan, and if I happen to hear a better idea, I'll adjust. But if I hear other idea, but I think mine's better, then that's what I'm going to fucking stick with, despite what others might think of me. And a good philosophy that I've had to discover over the last year is called Stoicism, which kind of seems like kind of going with the flow, but it's pretty much knowing you can't control external events. You can only control your feelings and your actions. So I guess in a sense it's kind of go with the flow, and on the other sense it's kind of me doing I know what's best for me and this is how I'm gonna do it, and I reserve the right to change my mind at any time, but pretty much if I think something's right for me, that's what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to leave you with that, and also the fact that, seizing the day and carpe diem and all that also means you can't afford to waste any fucking time with, anything that will make you happy or, is productive to you, that will help you make you feel fulfilled. Whatever it is, whatever works for you, just do it now, because you can't afford to waste any time. You might not die tomorrow, but circumstances might change for you to where you won't be able to do those things anymore. So you either need to jump on it now while it lasts, or jump on opportunities to, help keep it going. which is what I did at the end of June of last year, halfway through the summer, and what I've just jumped on again full force this past weekend. And I'm gonna go about it, no bullshit, no time wasting, and hopefully not find myself in another situation where I can barely do this or I barely have the energy for it. But if so, at least I took all the time that I had. But preferably, I'd like to keep this going. Because, of course, I script this, and of course, I jump on and do other things with Thunder Talk and Nerd Bliss and all that. But I still try to script this, even though it takes a couple hours for like a fucking 10-minute show to write a script for that. Because I would like to at least practice professional behaviors beforehand. Because I would like to be a professional in this field or a similar field. You guys all know this by now. I'd love to be a fucking on-air talent for the WWE or whatever. Or, IGN or some sort of geek media company. Or somehow make Thunder Talk into a geek media company that covers these things. We're the first live podcast to jump on and do a show from the FC Comic-Con show floor. And these are just the Thunder moves that I've got to keep making. Otherwise, time's going to be up and I'm going to have to be forced into a situation out of necessity. And it'll be a situation that won't let me do this anymore. So, anyway, yeah, I'm pretty much just rambling and all that. Seize the day, because you probably won't die tomorrow, but somebody will probably put you in a shitty situation you don't want to be in because they think that's what's best for you. But no, if they say that's what a shitty situation is what's best for you, and you don't think that shitty situation is what's best for you, just don't fucking do the shitty situation. It won't make you many friends, or as many friends, because people will definitely respect you for it. But most of all, the most important thing is not to get so many more friends, but whatever it takes to truly be a friend to yourself. So with that, I will say to you, my friends, drink, fight, do what makes you happy and fulfilled, and your ancestors will most definitely be proud.